Hi, welcome to our daily encounter. Today we read the book of Philippians in its entirety. And the book of Philippians was a book written by Paul while imprisoned. And ironically enough, the theme running through the book of Philippians is actually joy. The word joy or rejoice appears in the letter some 16 times. And this is written by a man who's actually imprisoned for the faith that he proclaimed. And so Paul was showing and shows us joy in the time of sufferings. And he found several things. He mentioned several things as you go through the letter. And most of it was connected to the church there. Many things to find joy over. And I believe one of the key things that allowed him to be successful in attaining to joy in those dismal circumstances was his ability to be content in all circumstances. In chapter 4, in verse 11, he says, I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. So no matter what circumstance he found himself in, he knew the secret of how to be content. And in the context, he's talking about having a lot or not having very much. Having a lot to eat, not having very much to eat. Having a comfortable place to sleep, living out in the cold. Being destitute, homeless, or being well taken care of and well supplied. In either case, he had learned to be content in those circumstances. How was it that he was able to be content? Well, he knew something. He knew about the strength of Christ that was helping him through it all. He says in verse 13, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. So he could make it through the joyful times, the good times, the lax times, and then also the difficult times, because he knew that he had Jesus Christ within him, strengthening him through it all. And one of the things that I believe robs us of our joy the most, or at least a lot of the time, is our inability to be content. Because we are not content, it robs us of our joy. How can we be joyful before the Lord? How can we rejoice in the Lord always? And as Paul says, and again I say rejoice. How can we have that rejoicing going on when there's discontentment in our hearts? When we're always thinking about what we don't have, or what it is in our life that's making us uncomfortable, or this circumstance over here that I'm dealing with, or that over there. All these little things that crop into our lives, we focus on these things and we become discontent with them. And we follow after the Israelites in the wilderness who got sick of the manna that God was giving them. All we have to eat is this manna. We don't even know what it is, and they despise the very food that the Lord was supplying them in a very miraculous way. And we have so many blessings in our lives, and too often we become discontented with them. We might become discontented with our social status. We might become discontented with our job or with our spouse. There could be a long list of things that we have that are actually blessings from the Lord, but because they're not perfect, because they're not exactly the way that we would prescribe them, we despise them and we wish for more, or we wish for something else. We need to learn the secret of being content, because you can never get to the point of joy if you're always stuck in a state of discontentment. You have to get out of that state of discontentment to ever make it to joy. And so we have to learn to say, you know what, Lord, whatever you bring into my life, whatever circumstance I find myself in, whether it's in the good times or the bad times, the highs or the lows, I'm content in those circumstances because I know that you will supply me the strength no matter which I find myself in. In the height of joy and the heights of life, the high points of life, I know that you're there to strengthen me, to help me, to render you the thanksgiving and the praise you deserve. But also in the low times, I know that you're there to hold me and to keep me strong and to hold me fast through it all. And even though it might be difficult, it might be extremely difficult, that inward strength is supplied to me to get through the next breath, the next day, the next week, and you will carry me through. And so if we have the Lord by our side, and if He's there to help us through all of our circumstances, surely we can live a life of contentment. And when we get into that state of contentment, then we can really lift up our eyes to the Lord and just rejoice and praise Him and focus upon Him and not focus upon all the little things that we think are wrong in our lives. So these are some things to think about. I do thank you guys for watching the video today. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. God bless.